Elderly people don't die from illnesses or old age. They pass away when they stop doing one simple thing. Once, days were filled with activity, errands, meetings, and conversations. Now everything is slowed down. You wake up not because you need to, but simply because you can't sleep. You sit and watch the news. Sometimes you knit. Sometimes you just sit there. It seems fine, calm, but it feels like something inside you is frozen. Does that sound familiar? It's in this silence that the real danger lies. When you stop exploring, engaging, planning, learning, and dreaming, your body interprets this as a signal. This is the end. Your brain slows down. Your immune system weakens. Your heart no longer sees a reason to beat vigorously. The body doesn't age. It gives up. In this video, we will reveal what truly reignites life. What habits, according to doctors and researchers, effectively restart your inner engine, and how to maintain vitality, clarity, and purpose even at 70, 80, and beyond. Because it's not too late if you simply haven't turned off your own spark. By the end of this video, you will learn how to bring vitality back to your body and spark curiosity in your mind, what daily actions can help you feel more like yourself again, and why living a long life is not just about biology, but about truly experiencing life. Because being alive is not just about breathing, it's about wanting something for tomorrow. Stay with me until the end, and you'll discover how one simple action each day can reignite your zest for life. The very first, and perhaps the most important habit that almost everyone knows about but often doesn't take seriously is movement. We're not talking about sports, marathons, or gym workouts. We're referring to the most natural activities. Walking around the house, going outside, feeding the birds, watering the flowers, wiping the table, or taking a stroll to the mailbox. When the body moves, the brain receives a signal. I am alive, I am engaged. Conversely, when we sit or lie down for extended periods, even if we're just resting, the body switches into a mode of conservation, slowing down all processes. This happens quietly, but relentlessly. Many doctors agree that when you move, even in the simplest sense, your muscles gently stimulate blood circulation, your heart beats rhythmically, neurons in your brain become active, blood sugar levels improve, and blood pressure normalizes. And you know what's really interesting? Even just 10-15 minutes of a leisurely walk each day can reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease by 30-40%. This is especially crucial for older adults, when each system in the body is no longer operating at full capacity. Movement becomes literally vital. It's like air. As long as it's there, life continues. Here's a vivid example. An 82-year-old woman shared that after her husband passed away, she stopped leaving the house. Everything felt too heavy. For weeks, she just sat by the window. Then one day, her granddaughter convinced her to take a short walk to the corner of the street. Soon, they ventured a bit further. A month later, they were strolling in the park together. And a year later, this grandmother signed up for a dance class for fun. She says she started to feel alive again. Not just pain or loneliness, but life itself. Not in her body, but in her movement. So, how do you begin if you're feeling stuck? There's no need to force it or push yourself too hard. Start small. Just 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. Even if it's just walking around your apartment, it's a good idea to incorporate movement into your routine. For example, try standing up and stretching every hour and a half to 2 hours. Make it a habit to open the door, look at the sky, listen to the birds, and change your surroundings, even just a little. This not only activates your body, but also lifts your spirit. And don't worry about looking silly. Nothing is silly when it comes to extending your life. Share your daily movement story in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. The next habit is one of the most subtle yet vital habits: having an interest in life. It doesn't matter what it is: plants, the news, crafts, birds outside your window, or new recipes. Once curiosity fades, it's as if the brain loses its purpose. Listen closely. Research shows that elderly people who regularly learn new things, whether reading, solving crosswords, mastering their phones, or watching educational programs, exhibit higher cognitive abilities, encounter dementia less frequently, and maintain mental clarity longer. This isn't magic. It's nourishment for the neurons. So what's the deal? Our brain is like a garden. When we water it with new experiences, it grows, forms new connections, and maintains resilience against aging. But neglect it, and it begins to wither. With each passing day, it becomes increasingly difficult for a person to concentrate, leading to forgetfulness and apathy. Even a simple routine, like jotting down a daily note in a journal or listening to an audiobook, serves as a warm-up for the mind, especially if it sparks even a slight interest or joy. Here are some changes that might happen to you. Mark, 74, started experiencing memory lapses after retiring. He would forget why he walked into a room or where he left his keys. His daughter gifted him a tablet with an educational app about the history of his country. At first, he brushed it off, but then he got hooked. He started listening every day, taking notes, and discussing things with his neighbors. After just 2 months, it was as if a light sparked in his eyes. His memory improved, and he was amazed by how much he still had in his head. His curiosity didn't just return, it revitalized him from within. The changes were monumental. Here are some simple tips for you. Choose things that genuinely interest you. It's not about what you should do, but what you want to do. It can be anything: learning to bake a new pie, watching a documentary, going through an old photo album, or asking your grandchildren about what they watch online. Even a simple question like, "Why is that?" can stimulate your brain. Don't worry about not understanding everything. Your brain doesn't need you to become a professor. It just needs you to be curious. Share in the comments. What are you interested in? Another reason why people die early is that there exists a silence that is more dangerous than noise. This silence is when a person lives alone, remains silent for hours, sometimes days, and increasingly hears their name uttered by another person less and less often. Researchers call this social isolation, but essentially it is loneliness that subtly undermines health. The statistics are alarming. Elderly people who lack regular social interaction tend to die on average 7 years earlier. This impact is greater than that of smoking or obesity. Why is that? Because a person without communication stops feeling needed, loses their internal rhythm, and their immune and nervous systems literally freeze. So what happens? When we talk, even about trivial matters, our hearts beat more steadily, stress hormone levels decrease, our brains become more active, and our bodies receive signals that life goes on. A simple conversation, even over the phone, initiates processes that protect us from depression, anxiety, and dementia. And a hug, a touch, or a glance is not just pleasant. It triggers a biochemical explosion of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which extends life, boosts immunity, and reduces inflammation. Mr. James, 79 years old, lost his wife after retiring, and his children lived in other states. He hardly spoke to anyone, only chatting with the cashier at the store once a week. His condition worsened. He began to complain of heart pains, weakness, and insomnia. Everything changed when his neighbor invited him to a game night. At first he went out of politeness, but then he got hooked. Within a month, he had formed a circle of friends. After 6 months, he was walking without a cane again. He felt that he was wanted, and his body responded. If you're feeling lonely, there's no shame in it. It's a signal that you need to let a little warmth into your life. Call an old friend, even if you haven't spoken in a while. Join a club, whether at the library or community center. Start small. Say a few words to your neighbor, the cashier, or the mail carrier. Even a simple, "How are you?" triggers something in the body that can't be replaced by medication. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, consider getting a pet. They communicate too, and can provide comfort. The key is not to stay in silence for too long. Do you have a social circle? Another reason why the body keeps the heart alive. It's the meaning of life. When a person loses the feeling that they have a purpose for waking up in the morning, a process of internal decline begins in their body. At first, it's not noticeable. It simply becomes harder to get out of bed. Everything seems unimportant, and the day passes like a shadow. But it is precisely the loss of meaning and purpose, even the simplest ones, that directly impacts life expectancy. The Japanese, who have the highest proportion of centenarians in the world, refer to this as ikigai, a reason to live. This can be anything: taking care of a beloved plant, spending time with grandchildren, knitting a blanket, or the desire to say good morning to a neighbor every day. Why is this so important? When a person has a goal, even a small one, dopamine pathways in the brain are activated. These are the hormones of motivation. They kickstart willpower, energy, and the desire to take action. The heart begins to function more steadily, memory improves, and sleep becomes deeper. There's a kind of internal gathering happening in the body, as if it feels, "I am needed." Without this, the mind shuts down, immunity weakens, and even pain is felt more acutely. Doctors note that people who have a regular passion or activity recover faster from serious illnesses because they have something to strive for. Here's a short story for you. Grace was 85 when she underwent a difficult surgery. Afterwards, the doctors promised her nothing but rest. But she picked up her knitting needles and said, "I promised my granddaughter a scarf." Every day, she knitted a little bit, despite her fatigue and pain. The process took 3 months, but when she finally handed the scarf to the girl, it felt like she was born anew. She found a sense of purpose, feeling that she was leaving something behind. Now, Grace knits items for the local shelter and says that this sense of purpose has saved her more than medicine ever could. Where can you start? Find your little why. It doesn't have to be something grand. The meaning can be very simple, yet genuine. Establish a daily ritual. Feed the birds, write letters, make notes for your grandchildren, or care for a plant. Do something that gives you the feeling, "I'm creating something, I'm giving back, I matter," even if it's just 10 minutes a day. It's never too late to live for something. Here's the habit that makes everything else worthwhile. Many people think that once they retire, they no longer need a daily routine. They can go to bed whenever they want, eat whenever they feel like it, and live at their own pace. However, the lack of a clear routine is one of the reasons why older adults often experience insomnia, appetite issues, chronic fatigue, and anxiety. Our bodies are like clocks. They thrive on predictability. When sleep, meals, walks, and rest occur at roughly the same times each day, the body feels secure and the mind remains stable. When this routine is disrupted, it can lead to confusion. Our brains lose their bearings, our biorhythms get thrown off, and we encounter problems that are hard to explain. Do you know what happens when a person has a well-established routine? When we wake up and go to bed at the same time every day, especially as we age, our bodies tune themselves like instruments. They activate at the right moments and rest when needed. This enhances sleep quality, digestive health, blood sugar levels, memory, and even mood. It's particularly important that the morning doesn't start in chaos. Simple actions, washing up, making the bed, opening the window, drinking warm water, become signals for the body. The day has begun, and you're ready to go. Conversely, irregularity can lead to hormonal imbalances, anxiety, blood pressure fluctuations, and a sense of disarray, when nothing seems to hurt, but nothing brings joy either. Here's how it changed one woman's life. Helen, 76, had suffered from insomnia for a long time. She would go to bed at different times, nap during the day, and have dinner at midnight. After an examination, her doctor advised her, "Try to establish a routine. Go to bed by 11 p.m., wake up at the same time every day, avoid eating for 2 hours before sleep, and open a window in the morning to do 5 minutes of stretching." She didn't believe it at first, but decided to give it a try. Within just 10 days, she was sleeping deeper and no longer felt weak in the mornings. After a month, she even began waking up without an alarm clock. It turned out that stability is the true form of rest. What you can change right now. Create a friendly routine for yourself. Not a strict schedule, but a gentle, consistent rhythm. Let every morning start with the same steps. Get up, wash your face, brew some tea, do a little stretching, and sit quietly for a moment. Make mealtimes, walks, reading, or relaxation predictable and cozy, like anchors in your day. This will create a sense of safety, especially when life around you is changing. Most importantly, it brings back the feeling, I'm in control of my day. When your day is filled with order, your soul can truly rest. Share your daily routine. It might help someone else. Let's recap what you've learned today and remember it. We've explored 5 simple yet profoundly life-affirming habits: movement, curiosity, communication, a sense of purpose, and a gentle, stable daily routine. Each of these is not just a helpful tip, it's an anchor that helps you navigate the flow of life, preventing you from sinking into silence or dissolving into loneliness or apathy. And the best part is that all of this is within your reach. No expensive medications, no painful struggles, just self-awareness. If you feel like something inside you has dimmed, start with one small step, one short conversation, one walk around the block, one cup of tea enjoyed mindfully, without haste. This is how you regain your strength. This is how life returns. These habits don't require youth. They just require a desire to live a little warmer, a little more lovingly toward yourself. You might be thinking right now, it's too late for me to start, or I just don't have the energy. But the truth is, it's only too late when you no longer want anything. If you've made it this far in reading, it means there's still a lot of fire within you. And it doesn't matter how old you are on paper. What matters is that you can start with the smallest of steps. And that alone is already a victory. Please don't put it off. Today, choose one habit and start with it. Write it down, remind yourself, and ask your loved ones for support. These steps may seem small, but they are the bridge to a long, warm, fulfilling life. You deserve it. 131. Imagine waking up in the morning feeling light and calm. Your day begins not with anxiety, but with warm light, a smile, and a small yet joyful ritual. You have someone to talk to, a reason to get out of bed. Your body isn't rushing, but it's also not dragging. Your soul is peaceful and clear. This is what longevity feels like, not measured by years, but by sensations. And it starts right now.